Have you ever wondered how to argue effectively in today's society? Have you ever thought and wondered how do you use these skills and techniques with your peers, coworkers, or family members? With today's society, many people today lack the ability to argue effectively, efficiently, and with reason and critical thinking to develop logic within their daily lives and the lives of individuals they meet. Much as how people cannot think for themselves and cannot argue effectively or efficiently. Given the amount of schooling and training they receive from school, the world and themselves, it is not until they step out of their own minds and embrace an open-ended perspective in life that they and themselves will be able to begin to develop the complexity of the world, reality, consciousness, life, sciences, etc. All the things that they comprehend, can never comprehend, might one day comprehend and have already comprehended. These are the skills that they must gain from this. When we look at arguing, it is best we look at the origins of it. And how can we use this idea into consideration into our daily lives? In ancient Greece, there lived a man named Socrates, an Athenian philosopher, teacher to Plato and Aristotle, later well-known Greek philosophers today, and other famous philosophers. He was a man who never wrote anything down. Much like Jesus Christ, except Jesus Christ only wrote stuff on the sand. But for the people who do know him today, before his death in 399 BC, his student Plato wrote down his words, and from it we have the words of Socrates written down for future generations so that all people can learn about argumentation and other ideas and philosophical implications and his benefit to the world. Sadly, many people don't even know who Socrates is, and some people have heard of them, whether it be through college lectures, reading books, or maybe perhaps hearing his name. But his influence in the world today, even in the 21st century, is very, very important. For a lot of his concepts and ideas can be easily applied and used to help our world be a better place. With his life, Socrates likened his role in society in ancient Greece is to that of a midwife. A midwife, if people don't know, is a woman who is used to help assist a pregnant woman to give birth, to give assistance and to nurture that woman. In this same sense, Socrates became the midwife to society by offering and nurturing his thoughts to others. From this, Socrates developed what is known as the Socratic Method, by helping people argue efficiently and effectively by using an oral context. He spoke and used the emotions of other individuals he spoke to, crowning his words above the written word for the first time. Socrates believed in the supremacy of the oral over the written. He stirred up the emotions. He used his pretense as an individual by being a fool, the ignorant man, that in his tool he could turn against his friends or opponents and make them admit to things that they never wanted to admit to by playing the fool. Socrates laid an important aspect of argumentation, with how people should argue in the real world by questioning consistently, using an emphasis on definitions and techniques known as Dionysus, which is the Greek word for division. And then he attacked each one separately and tried inductively to group them back together into a more general concept. His Dionysus can be seen in all his conversations throughout his life, and Plato steadfastly wrote down all his words and assembled them into multiple books of conversation. Not all his words, many of his words, and his complete works. In one such book, known as Theaetetus, Socrates entered into a conversation with Theaetetus, discussing what knowledge and wisdom is in various contexts, using the Socratic method and delving deep into the notions of knowledge associated with another famous philosopher, Parmenides, who taught and he spoke that man is the essence of all things, he said, of the things which are, that they are, and of the things which are not, that they are not. And given the nature of the man itself, people believe Parmenides. People question without a doubt that man was of this constitution, that there's several other questions that established this, but people did not necessarily know or question the reality of who a man was, what a man was, and ask the nature of manliness, etc. To which Socrates would thus reveal many of the inconsistencies in Parmenides' argument by questioning various perspectives, various subtle ideals within his argument, acting like the fool by questioning everything about Parmenides, and Theaetetus demonstrating the power of argumentation through reason and rationale today, at the time, using the Socratic method. Examples like these today, they prove of argumentation and why people today lack it. Everyone today, when you look at society, would rather text, send an email, use their cell phone, Snapchat, Facebook message, right? They would use any form of technology rather than develop their own memory and communicate in person and discuss the essence of problems and tribulations that exist in the world today and with their lives. Arguing well has become a skill that so few people have in this world. It's therefore best that we learn to develop our skill, and with these skills become a better human being. Therefore, we should follow the Socratic method and learn its techniques in our daily lives amongst our friends, peers, neighbors, society, and world to develop our position, beliefs, thoughts, ideas into a better world for all those people around us through reason and rationality. I want to thank you guys so much for listening to this channel and this page. And I want you guys to realize in our lives that logic is the essence. It's the important of what we need in our world. I mean this very clearly, not just because I have a bachelor's degree in philosophy, as you can see in my previous videos, but also because I know that reason and rationality is not developed clearly or well enough in this world today. I want to thank you all for listening to this podcast. Thank you for listening to Love of Wisdom. I'm your host, Anthony Pensa. Please subscribe to my channel below and ring the bell for future videos. Leave a comment below to help me improve my channel or any questions that you may have. I'll see you guys next week for the video. Thank you so much for listening to the Love of Wisdom podcast.